Lesson 110, Solve Problems Using Rational Numbers. These are going to be problems that could be using adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, or maybe a combination of two or more operations to solve word problems. Example 1. Water drains steadily out of a lock to lower a boat from one level to another. The boat lowers 3 feet in 4.5 minutes. What is the boat's change in position per minute? So we might use a picture to help us understand this. So I drew a little bar to show that 3 feet has to cover 4.5 minutes. So we need to decide what operation we could use to figure out what is the change per 1 minute. So how many feet is it going to be for 1 minute? So here it would make sense to divide the distance per minute. So we have a distance of 3 feet. We saw that it lowered 3 feet, so we would say -3. And there were 4.5 minutes total for those 3 feet. So when we divide, we'll find out what it is for 1 minute. So we could rewrite this instead of a complex fraction. Let's just write it as -3 divided by 4.5. I'll write them both as fractions. -3 divided by 4.5. Use around the world. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So we get 9 halves. Use same opposite switch. -3 times 2 over 1 times 9 is -6/9. And those will both divide by 3 to get -2/3. So in 1 minute, it drops 2/3 of a foot. Example 2. Kevin had 12 answers correct and 8 answers incorrect on a trivia game. Each correct answer is worth 2.25 points, and each incorrect answer is worth -1/2 point. What was Kevin's score? So let's just start by figuring out how many points he got for correct answers. He had 12 correct answers, and they're worth 2.25 points each. So I could start by saying 12 times 2.25. And then he lost points for incorrect answers. He got 8 answers incorrect, and those were worth -0.5 point each. So for 8 incorrect answers, we need to multiply by -1/2. And together that would give his total score. So I'm going to start working through this problem. I'm going to do some scratch work here on the right side. I'm going to start with 12 times 2.25. 12 times 2.25, written as fractions, would be 12 over 1 times 9/4. 12 times 9 is 108. 1 times 4 is 4. And that will just divide directly. 108 divided by 4 equals 27 with no remainder. So I can go ahead and write over here that this part was 27. Now I have 8 times -1/2. So I could technically change -1/2 to a decimal. Or I could work with it as a fraction. I think I'm going to change it to a decimal to make this easier. Because in my head I can say, well, 8 times half, or half of 8, is 4. Positive times a negative is a negative, so I get -4. So I could work with it as a decimal or fractions. So 27 plus -4, and that's 23. So his total score was 23 points. Example 3, the temperature at 4 p.m. was 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit in the laboratory freezer. It dropped 0.75 degrees Fahrenheit each hour for the next 4 hours. What was the temperature at 8 p.m.? Well, we could start by finding the total change. So we know that it dropped 0.75 degrees every hour for 4 hours. And negative 0.75 times 4 is negative 3. So we know that the temperature dropped 3 degrees. Then we could take that total change and add it to the initial temperature, the starting amount. So it started at 2.5 degrees and it dropped negative 3 degrees. And the result is that the temperature would be negative 0.5 degrees Fahrenheit at 8 p.m. Okay, so I'm going to let you try a problem. On science tests, students earn 2 points for correct answers and negative half a point for incorrect answers. Emma had 7 correct answers and 3 incorrect answers. How many points did she earn? Go ahead and pause and try this problem, then come back once you've finished. So we saw that she had 7 correct answers. So let's see, for 7 correct answers and 2 points each, we could multiply those to get her total number of points for correct answers. And then we could see her total number of points for incorrect answers by multiplying the number she got incorrect, 3, by the points for each incorrect answer, which is negative 1/2. And then once we get those two products, we'll be able to add them to get the total number of points she earned. We know 7 times 2 is 14, and positive 3 times negative 1/2 will be a negative answer. And you can go to the side and work this out, but 3 times 1/2 would be 1.5 or 1.5. And we have 2 numbers that are different signs that we're adding. So to think back to our adding integers, if we're adding different signs, we actually subtract to 12.5 and take the sign of the number that has the greatest absolute value. 14 is further from 0 on a number line than negative 1.5, and it's positive, so we leave this as positive 12.5, and we'll say there's 12.5 points that she earned.